قل هل يستوي الذين يعلمون والذين لا يعلمون إنما يتذكر أولو الألباب.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to a new episode of your program, The Life of the Scholars. I would like to welcome my guests, Mamadou and Brother Muhammad. Thank you for being with me. And as usual, every episode we talk about one of the scholars and we try to explore some of basically sides and stories of their lives and what we can learn from their lives today. Because these episodes is not about them as much as about us. Every time when we read history, especially the history of the scholars, especially the life of the scholars, what we need to do every time we read it, we try to see how we can relate to that. I wish that we will always learn to be practical. So when we read something, it's just not being theoretical and read about it as just a story. But what can I learn from this story? How can I relate to it? And today, the story of today is the story of a great Muslim female scholar. Last time we talked about the firm prudent. Today we talk about the beautiful prudent. She's a scholar by the name of Fatima, the daughter of Muhammad ibn Ahmad al-Samarqandi, or she's a Samarqandiya. Do you know where Samarqand?
Samarkand now?
Samarqand in. Do you know
Close
where
to
that
Russia
is?
now?
Maybe.
It's in Bukhara,
Bukhara,
basically, which is today in Uzbekistan. And today, modern days, it's Uzbekistan. This woman, she was born to a very noble family. Her father was a great scholar. Her father, Muhammad ibn Ahmad al-Samarqandi, is a very well-respected scholar. And what do you imagine that part of the world mainly dominated by the Hanafi madhab?
Yeah.
So he was a great scholar in the Hanafi madhab. She was born, we don't know exactly the date of her birth. We know when she died. Even the exact date of her death, we don't know. But the ulama said it's around 1191. She died around that time, which is 587 Hijri. She lived in, she basically from among the 12th century scholars. This woman grew up in her village in Kasan, in Samarkand, in Uzbekistan today. And she raised by her father. Her father took good care of her. There is a lot of stories about her relationship with her father, how they were so close to each other. You know, he really focused on his daughter. He invested a lot in his daughter, and he took good care of her. She studied under him as her first teacher. She learned a lot of fiqh from him. She mastered the fiqh through her father. And not only that, her father allowed her to seek knowledge from other scholars as well. So he sent her to hear the hadith from a scholar, Quran from a scholar. She memorized the Quran before she reached the age of puberty. Or very early age, she finished memorizing the Quran. She memorized a lot of books of hadith. She memorized a lot of books of fiqh. And one of the books that she memorized very well was her father's book. It's called Tuhfatul Fuqaha. It's a textbook in Hanafi fiqh that he wrote, and he puts, basically this book represents all his work. All the years of his learning, he put it in that work. It's called Tuhfatul Fuqaha. It's a very important textbook when it comes to the Hanafi fiqh until today. She memorized that, and not only that she memorized this particular text, but a lot of other books as well in the Hanafi. Later on in her life, we come to know when she moved to Sham and in Damascus, the scholars, the ulama, the senior scholars of Damascus debated her. And they asked her about, because she came as an advisor to the king, and she was very well respected, her and her husband. So the ulama start asking her and bringing issues in front of her. She used to debate them. She answered them. She said, yes, this issue in your madhab, we have it also in the Hanafi fiqh. This is opinion based on this evidence, that evidence. And they were surprised by the vast amount of information and knowledge that this woman had and how she mastered the Hanafi fiqh very well. Many times, for example, when her father in the masjid, and she will be in the masjid or maybe next to the masjid or passing by, and she hear some of the students back and forth with her father, she will comment from behind a curtain, or or she passing by, she will say, or even inside the house, she said, no, that's not right, that's not correct. The right opinion is this, and she will give her opinion, rahimahullah ta'ala. She was known of her beauty. Everybody speaks about how beautiful woman she was. They call it al-faqihatul jamila, the beautiful jurist, prudent. And not only it looks like her look is good and she's beautiful, her handwriting. She's known to be a very good artist. Her handwriting is just amazing. That's why she used to write the letters whenever her father wanted to send a letter or even issue a fatwa or answer a question, she will write it. He will let her write the answer. Copy his book, or she was well known of her handwriting, very distinguished. Anyway, you can imagine a woman with this quality. Again, a lot of people will be interested in marrying such educated woman, righteous woman, and beautiful, talented, right, very well. A lot of businessmen, even a lot of princes, even princes from all the way from Baghdad and all the way from Sham, asked for her hands for their children, for their young princes. And her father kept saying, no, no, I don't want to give her into that. And finally, he offered her hand, or he talked to one of his students who was a very poor person, is not a rich man or anything like. His name Abu Bakr al-Kasani, rahimahullah. And he offered him, and he said, would you like to marry my daughter? Absolutely. And guess what was the mahar? He is very intelligent scholars. They call him the king of the scholars in the madhab al-Hanafi, rahimahullah. This man was so smart, was so intelligent, so knowledgeable as well. And her mahar was, her dowry was, that he would write an explanation for her father's book. Her father's book is text, it's very small, text, short text. And he wrote an explanation for it, references for it. And that will ensure that her father's book will survive. And her father's book will be famous. Because usually when I study a book, I want to study a book that there is an explanation for it. I would take it over another text with no explanation for it. If you write explanation for it, that means you double the chance for this book to survive. Because if the text didn't survive, the explanation will survive. So she was very smart to agree on that. And basically he did that over several years. He started it and he finished it, and it's available. The explanation survived until today. So he married her, her father passed away, and their reputation traveled far away from where they live. So Nuruddin Zinki, the famous scholar, the famous leaders in the Zinki states, asked for both of them to move to Aleppo and to be a special advisors for him. Seek her advice and his advice. And they did. They moved to Aleppo and they stayed there for a while, and they really served the king very well. And when they moved to Aleppo, they interact with the scholars in the Sham. They start spreading their ilm, the Hanafi fiqh, basically supported a school there. And she was well known to care a lot for the ulama and for the student knowledge. And she started something very interesting that we are very familiar with today. But she was the first one to start this at least in that area. I'm not sure of the whole world at that time or not. But she sold her bracelets. She had 2 bracelets. She sold them. And with the money, she started in Ramadan a program where she offered a free iftar for the people in the public area, in the street. So she will put like an iftar in the street, big long tables, and she will offer them free iftar for the students, for the poor, for the shuyukh to come to eat. to have a dialogue, interact with each other, and she did that for the whole entire Ramadan. After that, people start doing it every single Ramadan. People copy it in other parts of the city, and she became like the one who started the Sunnah in that city. This is something they said about her life, rahimahullah ta'ala. She felt that, it's about time to go back to my village. It's about time for me to go back to my village where I live. And she decided to tell her husband, let's go back to Kasan. But the king really wanted them to stay. So he talked to her husband. The husband said, she's home. Ask her if she wants to stay, I'll stay. The king sent her one of his representative or advisor. So when he go to the house, he knocked on the door, he said, the king asking you to stay. Then she said, where's my husband? He said, he's with the king. Then he said, shame on him. He knows that I'm by myself at home, and he sent a stranger to talk to me. He should have come with you at least. But I hope he didn't forget about the proper etiquette and the ilm by hanging around the king for a long time. Oh, that's tough,
That's tough,
That's tough thing to say. But anyway, he came back and she decided to stay because based on the request of the king, but she died soon after that. Her husband been seen all the time around her grave. Very moved by her death. Seen crying many times. A few months later, he died and he was buried next to her in the cemetery of Alabama. What's amazing about this woman, when she was with her husband, with her father, whenever the issue of fatwa, her father will sign the fatwa with his name, then she will sign her name underneath.
Yes,
when she got married, 3 of them will sign the fatwa. The father on the top, then the daughter, then the husband. And when her father died, they used to issue the fatwa, and many times her name will be in the top and her husband's name on the bottom. What amazing life. We have to have a break. So let's go to a break, and inshallah when we come back, we'll continue talking about the life of this great female scholars and what kind of lessons that we can learn from her life. So stay tuned. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to your program, The Life of the Scholars. Before the break, we were talking about Fatima Samarqandiyya and how he was raised by a father who really took good care of her, focused a lot on his daughter, spent a lot of time teaching her, sending him to her to learn, memorized the Quran in early age, memorized a lot of hadith. Then she mastered the fiqh of Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah. She became a great Hanafi scholar. And not only that, he ensured he really was looking for her to continue her path. That's why he married her to someone who's a student of knowledge, Abu Bakr al-Kasani. And you remember her mahar was, her dowry was something unique, writing explanation for her father's book, Tuhfatul Fuqaha, which is a book in the Hanafi fiqh, which he did, rahimahullah ta'ala. Both moved to Aleppo to be an advisor for the king of Aleppo at that time, Nuruddin Zinki, the famous leader. And she died there. Her husband soon died after her. When we look at her life in general, we see that she was a great female scholar who was respected, dedicated her life to knowledge, to spread the knowledge. She helped, she given advice. She was a very wise woman. That's why kings were seeking her advice. Practicing fatwa in early age exposed her to the society's problem, what's going on in the society. Subhanallah, there's a big difference between the muftis and the judge. The judge, just judging between people, only deal with the negative side in the society or the problems. But muftis, they're like counselors. They listen to people. You get to know the sense of what's going on in the street. You know, the new things that happen because people ask about them. And that makes you so broad in your knowledge. And we get to know how amazing she was. A good writer. She has a very beautiful handwriting, and she used to sign the fatwa with her name, and sometimes her name will be in the top of her husband's name, and also write under her father's name when he was alive. This is something, there is so much we can learn from her life, I think, today. So let's try to explore some of these lessons and motivations point that can actually inspire us in our time today. So what do you have, guys?
Yes, actually, from my point of view, Fatma Samarkandiya's story is, it's clear as a day that her story is a kind of a great symbol, or is a great sign of how history changed before Islam and then after Islam, how Islam gave the woman her rights, and how the fathers and now parents given the women the rights to learn and to be into life and to go out and to know more. This is a kind of a great sign of the rights. Like parents now shouldn't only care about boys. You know, this is a boy. You know, give him a chance, teach him and give him money.
So just to, mashallah, you always bring many good points. So the first point is that her life story shows how the society respected women, how women play a major role in society when it comes to education, as a learner and as a teacher, as a learner, as a mufti, as a person who the king asked for their advice. She basically, her role was not limited to one area. You know, she was a wife, but she's also used to give advice to the king. She was a wife, but she was a teacher. She was a mufti. She's a learner, and she was a scholar in the same time. The scholars in Damascus debated her, talked to her. She used to correct people who make mistakes in the masjid sometimes. That shows you the type of role that women had in the society. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ بَعْضُهُمْ أَوْلِيَاءُ بَعْضٍ يَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ. Men and women, they are awliya, supporter of one another. They're responsible to spread good and stop evil. This responsibility in the shoulder of the men and women to build the society together is something that was well known. Today, so many times, we find in both extremes. Sometimes some women think it is men's responsibility and I have nothing to do with it in public life. I'm not responsible for the society in large, or a major role to play in the society. And sometimes some men, they don't feel that and they don't believe that. They don't give a chance for women to grow. You know, shows you the big difference between some of these weird, and it's very few, alhamdulillah, voices that maybe say or oppose women's education. But you see today how this is very well known in our history, that women were well educated and they are on the front line when it comes to education. We never had Aisha radiallahu anha. She was the first teacher in the first generation of Islam. She was a learner, woman, learned the woman, and she was a student of knowledge. She was a muftiya, and even Dhahabi said she was a doctor. She was the first female doctor, as Dhahabi rahimahullah said about her. So this is very important. If we look in our history, you'll see that ulama rahimahullah always say that they had female teachers. Ibn Hajar, for example, had 55 female teachers. Just one man lived in Egypt, had 55 female teachers. Another scholars narrated from a 99 sheikha, female teachers. And Imam al-Bukhari's book was narrated by one of the most famous narrator of Sahih al-Bukhari, was a female scholar. And I can go on and many examples like this. Islam came to restore the role and to protect the right of women, which has been violated in the whole world. When the Prophet ﷺ was 35 years old, in France they were debating if woman a human being or not, or she's devil. They come to a conclusion she has the soul of a devil and a body of human. SubhanAllah. In Arab Peninsula, they used to bury her alive. In other countries to burn her with her husband when her husband died. No value. She has no right to possess wealth. She will be inherited like any piece of furniture the man leave behind.
Yeah.
But Islam came to give her the respect, came to sit in front of her as a student to learn from her. And I think we need to see this in our community and society.
Yes.
We need from both sides, men and women, to empower women and to give them the chance to thrive and to grow. When I'm saying that, I'm saying also that this position of woman, she didn't earn it because she's a female.
Yeah.
We don't do that. I'm not sexist in the sense that I will just give you a pass because you're a female. No, because you're a scholar, because of the knowledge that you possess. Sometimes people mix between the two. We don't do that because she's a female. No, because she's a person of knowledge. What is not right, what's not correct, what is absolutely discrimination, and you don't give her a fair chance because she is a female.
Yeah.
And you become an obstacle in front of her because of female. That's not correct. And it's not right. That's a very good point. What else we have?
Just to come back, I really wish we learned more about these stories, because we're such in an age where women are being, Islam's image of women is being attacked every day in the West. And I think once we kind of learn about these women in our history, it kind of shows that whatever happens now is not what Islam has done for women in the past. But also just to come
there is a study shows that number one issue, the most negative view about Islam comes from what?
the view on women.
There's number one issue, a woman.
Yeah.
People think that Islam abused women.
Yeah.
Not terrorism, not anything like that, it's women. Very good, go ahead.
I think another thing is that from this amazing woman and her life story is that you need to invest in your children equally.
Very good.
Invest in their children, invest in their education. Like, I understand this happens up until today, up until the West, that maybe I'm preparing my son to be a doctor or an accountant, and I'm preparing my daughter to be a wife. For me, that's completely wrong. And from this, you find her dad was very involved in that.
It's very good.
Not to say she shouldn't be a wife, but I mean just a wife.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take care of her education, for example.
Because wife is not on the other side of being a doctor.
No, of course.
No, because she's going to be a wife and she can be a doctor.
Yes, of course.
But he get a good education. She doesn't get a good education.
Yes.
I send him to good school. I don't care to send her to good school.
Yeah.
I don't care for her grades, but I care for his grade.
Yeah.
I give him all the that's not right.
Yeah.
And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, whoever Allah give him daughter and he doesn't favor his son over his daughter, she will be a shield from him from hellfire in the day of judgment. وَلَمْ يُفَضِّلْ وَلَدَهُ عَلَيْهَا. So you need to be fair. You need to treat him well. You don't know أَيُّهُمْ أَقْرَبُ لَكُمْ نَفْعًا. Who will benefit you the most? Maybe your sons will be losers, you know, and your daughter is the one who's going to make it. Is the one who's really going to make a change. He invested in his daughter, and she was a great woman who did a great work, and she made a positive contribution to the society where she lived. Rahimahullah ta'ala. One thing I like about this story, that her husband was not an obstacle in front of her growth. You know, in my community, wallahi, I'm not sure if I should say this on TV, but in my community, sometimes when a brother wants to marry a sister, I feel like I wish that he doesn't, I'm more in a worry that he's going to marry her. You know, I'm not sure if he should marry her or not. You know why? Because the moment he marry her, she's not allowed to organize events. She's not allowed to teach. She's not allowed to come to classes. She's not allowed to organize conference. She's not allowed. She's not allowed. She's not allowed. And she became like a flat tire. After she's been very active, very good in the society, it is because of that husband who stopped every single thing that she used to do, or almost everything she used to do. That's really wrong. If her husband was like that, we would not be talking about Fatima today. That's right. Look at the father, also was very supportive. Family play a major role in your success. Make sure that we do that. I support my husband. I support my wife. I support my daughter. I support my kids. One thing from this woman's life, I like what she did about her father's book. You know, sometimes you need to think, what can I do to make my father's names, stay alive after, inshallah, long life. You know, I have a park. We have a park where I live. I used to walk. I walk a lot there, alhamdulillah, and I like it when I go past by some of the sitting area. It says, I did this for my father, so and so. I did this for my father. You know, something simple like that. Maybe you start thinking about maybe a sadaqah jari that you do for your father. Maybe you print a book and you say, this is like on behalf of my father. If your father is not a scholar. One thing I want to say also, it's amazing relationship between the father and the daughter. I want to guarantee you, if your kids don't listen to you, they watch you. You know, you have to always remember that your kids don't need your presence as much as they need your presence. Your kids want to see you.